The Glass Breaks at RKW continues on your Tuesday morning. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling, joined as we are Tuesdays at 8:20 by our good friend Austin Price of VolQuest and On3. Tennessee and Kentucky, the rivalry formerly known as the Battle for the Beer Barrel. This weekend inside Neyland Stadium. Austin, what's up? How are you?
I'm great. How are you guys?
Good. We cannot complain. Looking forward to a good one in Neyland this weekend. Austin, what has the conversation been like around this Tennessee team about avoiding the letdown out of the bye week the way they did against Arkansas?
Well, I mean, obviously that's a huge topic, right? It's probably more of a topic with, the media, the fans, because they remember, the feeling, that you felt after Tennessee, just kind of gagged in Fayetteville. And the players, I mean, they're kids. So, I think the coaches probably bring it up. I'm not sure the players think about it a whole lot from a standpoint of, they just kind of next play, next game, they don't let it hang over their head a whole lot. And so I think for the kids, they don't think about it. I think for the adults and fans, I said that it's probably a very much a point of topic, at least until Tennessee plays and shows that, they can come out of the bye week and play well.
And also the big question is, can Tennessee sustain its second half offensively against Alabama now moving forward? What elements do you think Tennessee tries to take from that second half against Bama, move it forward, against Kentucky and moving ahead for the rest of this season? Do you think this offense may have had its aha moment against Alabama in that second half?
I feel like they've had a lot of aha moments in the second half of games. So, the question is, I keep making the joke that they just need to start the first quarter with the number 3 in the quarter column, on the Jumbotron, at Neyland. Trick them. Let's trick them into, thinking it's the second half. But, I don't think you have to do any particular elements. Tennessee had guys running free in the first half. They just missed them. They had guys running free in the second half. They still missed a few, but they hit a few more. And so I think, it's just about executing. That's the biggest thing you hear out of Coach Heupel. And, I mean, when you really sit down and look at it, I think that's pretty accurate. I mean, you have to play as a collective unit. One guy can't have, an off play, an off series, an off half, because when you have one or two guys not doing what they're supposed to do, it can cripple the entire offense. So I think for Tennessee, it's just about executing as one.
Austin Price with us this morning, VolQuest on 3. Austin, man, there was a video clip that came out. It was like a 4-minute video that Vols released after, I think it was the Alabama game, and it was linebackers coach William Inge, man. I never really heard much conversation from him, but his ability to coach those guys, and it seemed to be a very calm way, but get the max out of them. How big has that been for T. Linder and for a guy now and Arian Carter, who are young guys that have to lead with having a guy like him at linebackers coach?
Well, I do think he's a different voice than Coach BJ, Brian Jean-Marie was last year. They're just different temperaments, both good guys, both good coaches, just a different, kind of way of doing things. And, I think for Coach Inge, he relates well to his players. I wasn't sure because his personality is a different one. And I wondered coming in, how would he relate to the players? But you hear the players talk about it. They love that guy. And, he old player from, Iowa and, coached several places on the West Coast. This is his first taste of the SEC, but I think he's came in and meshed really, really well with that room, and they're playing hard for him.
And on the same side of the ball, we're seeing a bunch of young recruits now seem to be pouring into the defensive side of recruitment for the Vols. How important has that been for Coach Heupel to really set a standard, reset the standard for what Tennessee's, mentality is as far as playing defense in the SEC, and how hard have they hit that recruiting?
Well, they've hit that, since they got here. And I think that's what's showing up is, James Pierce, Tyree West, Ricky Gibson, Arian Carter, Jeremiah T. Lander, all those are guys Tennessee recruited out of high school. And then you add in some nice players out of the portal, Jackson Moy, obviously Jermod McCoy. Tennessee's done a nice job of, finding players in the portal that, can help them. And, So he's kind of built it on the defensive side of the ball. I think he knew going in, like, I'll handle the offense. We don't need to worry about that. Let's go make our defense better. And you look at what they've done in recruiting each year, it's been really, really impressive. To get, the top player in the state of North Carolina in James Pierce by on 3, to get, David Hobbs, who was a top player in North Carolina by, other, rankings makers. I mean, it's, you're getting high-end players. Arion Carter from in the state of Tennessee, Ricky Gibson out of the state of Alabama, away from Alabama and Auburn. And, these are all players that are playing pivotal roles for Tennessee. And the defensive line is deep. Coach G has done a fantastic job of developing those players, and they've really recruited well. So I think, this is kind of a culmination, of what they've been trying to do since they've been here. It's just taken them a minute to get to this point because those young guys had to get, developed and get some experience, and now they're showing out now that they have that experience.
Also behind question, too, is with so much depth that they have, specifically on the defensive line, Austin, as it pertains to young guys also want to chase stats. I think we're seeing right now James Pierce Jr. get his stats the way he want them to. But how have Coach Gardner and Coach Ayers and Coach Tim Banks really settled those guys by saying, look, we don't have to play you 60 plays a game. Like, I'm not sure what Walter Nolan's doing at Ole Miss, but I'm sure a guy like him never really comes off the field for that defense. But you'll have spells where you won't see Amari Thomas out there or James Pierce may be off. You know what I'm saying? How have they balanced that group by saying, don't stat chase. I'm preparing you for something bigger, and that's the NFL.
Well, they've got them to buy into the team side of things. And, their guys, I'm sure, would like to play a few more snaps, but they are very comfortable playing the amount that Coach G gives them. And I think they have really good camaraderie in that room. I don't think there's a bunch of scuttlebutt behind the scenes about like, well, I didn't get this amount of reps or that amount of reps, because he plays so many players. And I think you look at the defense as a whole, I don't see anybody that's over there pouting or disgruntled. They're happy for their teammates. They're happy when they make plays because they're all getting to play. And, when everybody's getting to play and everybody's getting real run, it's a lot easier for kids to buy in to getting less snaps when they see, hey, this really good player like James Pierce, he's playing half of what he could play, but he's thriving, So they've got they've done a really nice job of getting them to buy into the culture, to what they want to do defensively. And even like in the back end, heck, the last few years, how much I beat the drum louder than anybody about the fact that Jalen McCullough played too many snaps. What was it? I'm just using round figures. It was like 652 out of a possible 674. I know that's not exact numbers, but it was something like that, like available snaps he played. It was crazy. And this year they're rotating all over the place in the back end. Half the time you've got, 2 different safeties in there at all times, and they're rotating 4 guys now. So it's just a change of kind of thought process, and I think Tennessee's defense is benefiting because of it.
On the lines of that back end of the defense, and of course, Austin Price joining us now on VolQuest. You can check out his great work as he joins us every Tuesday at this time. You spoke with Jermod McCoy and Ricky Gibson. What stood out to you in terms of how they've been able to come along and be that productive?
Just the mindset. For how many years have we watched DBs at Tennessee give too much cushion? And then you got Jermod McCoy sitting there, and he's saying, well, if I don't get my hands on them, I feel like I lost the rep. Even if they don't complete the pass against me, I feel like I've lost the rep if I don't get my hands on them. He's just, it's just a different mindset. And those kids are super confident. They're long, they're athletic, and they're playing really, really aggressive. And you just have to be impressed by both those kids. I think they're, the best thing going for Tennessee is they're both true sophomores. So they'll be back as your corners a year from now. So it's great for Tennessee, not good for opposing offenses next year.
In terms of the Vols offense and some of the updates in terms of the wide receiver position, what have you heard about Squirrel White in terms of being able to progress on the bye week? And then the question continues to be asked by people for Josh Heupel, is Mike Matthews going to be more incorporated?
That's a great question. And Coach Heupel basically said yesterday, Mike's got to do some of the little things off the field, on the field. You just have to be more consistent. But, he hopes that he can be a player for them. As for Squirrel, we'll see. I mean, it wouldn't shock me at all if he didn't play this weekend, but I do think that, the hope is for him to play this weekend. But at the same time, he's got some of those nagging injuries that, I'm not sure are going to get healthy till the off season. So, I guess it depends on how he's feeling week to week.
Austin Price of VolQuest with us. Austin, what is Kentucky's pathway to make this thing interesting? How do they come into Neyland Stadium and find success against this Tennessee team?
You seen that scene from The Dark Knight Rises when Bane blows up the field? That's their shot.
Okay, cool.
That's I don't think it's close. I really don't. I'm pretty bullish on this. I just think Kentucky's terrible on offense, and I just don't see them hanging with the Vols. I just don't think Tennessee's defense is too good. Kentucky's offense is not good enough, and the fact is Kentucky's defense, even in recent weeks, has not been what it was early in the year, what it was when it went to Oxford and got a win. The way they played at Florida, Florida put up 50 points basically on them. And, last week, Auburn had a kid run for 280 yards. So I'm going to go with it's not going to be close unless Bain shows up. And nobody wants to do that.
They expect one of us in the wreckage, Austin. But on the recruiting front, Austin, we had an incredible game, Oakland and Ravenwood, on our station that I called on Friday night. And DeJuan Morris continues, now that he's getting back healthy, that Oakland slot back, kind of running back hybrid, and Kevin Creasy runs everything on offense. So he does a little bit of everything for them, as you know. But the opportunity may be for him to get to campus this weekend for Tennessee's matchup against Kentucky. What are you hearing on that recruitment? How legitimate of a shot does Tennessee have to flip the USC commitment?
Well, we'll see if he makes it in. I know he's insinuated that, he's going to try to make it in, but, best laid plans. Let's see. Let's have him get here first. If he gets here, then things get ratcheted up. Tennessee becomes more real. For months, Isaiah Campbell was going to come, but then he never did. Clemson would get to him and he wouldn't come. So we'll see if he gets here. If he is able to make it to campus this weekend, then I think, Tennessee will try to turn up the pressure on him. And obviously he's been talking to Tennessee the last couple of weeks, been way more engaged. And watching what Dylan Sampson does, because, they're kind of similar in size and all that. You could understand why he would, feel like he would fit in pretty well here in this offense. So, again, we'll see. We'll see if he gets to campus this weekend. Long way to go in that one before anything happens one way or the other.
Austin, just switching gears real quick. I know you have involvement with the guy that made the hire, but Danny White, man, seems to have hit a home run with Kim Caldwell. I'm slaying that slow. I'll say a nice single because I heard her last week on Vol Calls, and all the things that she said without seeing the product on the court, man, lets me know that she's a savage about how she's going to coach this Lady Vols team and understands the tradition and the expectation for those ladies out there on the court, man. She made a comment last week, I think it was with Hubs, and said, she was just like, well, how do you manage players getting playing time? And she said simply, play better. I'll put you out there. No hesitation in it. What has she been like if you've ran into her on campus?
Well, I think she gets it. She gets people. She's gonna stick to her guns on how she coaches and her philosophy, and I think that's what you have to do. That's what's got her here. That's what's made her successful at every step along the way. So, I think for her, you just got to be yourself, kind of like Josh Heupel just has to be himself, and then learn different things about coaching in this league at this place. When you incorporate all that, there's a recipe there for I think her to have a pathway to success. And obviously, in year one, we'll see what they're like. I think you got to give her 2 to 3 years to, kind of get her players in here to run her system. But I think, the kids that are on the team have bought into everything she's saying. Now, the question is can they go out and put it together on the floor? I have no doubt they're going to have a few moments this year where you're like, oh, my gosh, wait till she gets her people in here. And then there'll probably be a few moments that are like, oh, that was brutal. But, I think the biggest thing for her is just continuing to be herself and do what she knows how to do.
Yeah.
He is Austin Price at Austin Priceless, where you find him on Twitter covering Tennessee athletics for VolQuest and on 3. Austin, thank you as always, sir. Appreciate it.
Hey, guys, before I go, Ramon, nice swoosh shirt. Kayla, I like the festive red. Will, do better.
Okay.
Do better. Do better.
He's watching.
You sound like most of the people in my life, Austin. Do better. Yeah, I get it. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Austin.
See you guys.
Austin Price of VolQuest joining us here this morning. I'm going to be on the call for